Welcome back to another video. So we're going to take a look at how we can model a chair similar like this one, and we are also so the chair will rotate 360 degree and will rotate the character. Now before we're going to get started, if you are new to Blender, I would recommend you to check my video regarding getting started within Blender, since we're going to make use of BlenderKit for this. I will leave the video link in the description. Now let's get started. I will go to File, New, and I want to create a blank new Blender scene. So this is the default cube. If I'm going to press N, we're going to see that this will be 2 meters. So the length of an edge. We are going to model the chair using this, and afterwards we're going to scale it and bring it up to the real scale. So let's get started. I will press Tab to go to edit mode. Afterwards, I will press 3 over here, and I can go to face selection, or you can click it at the top. I'm going to select those two faces while holding down Control to do a multiple selection. I'm going to press delete on the keyboard, and I will delete those two faces. Now, I want to subdivide everything over here, therefore I will press A, which will select everything. I'm going to right click on a face, and I have the possibility to do a subdivide. Now we can start changing the shape of the chair. So to do that, I will go over here within face selection, and I will select those two faces in front. I'm going to press G in order to start the grabbing tool, and Z for the axis, and I will slightly move those like this. Now I will go to edge selection. I will select those two at the top. I will press G to grab it, and now on the x-axis I want to move them a little bit like this to the back. Using the same edge selection, I'm going to select the edges at the back, and I will press G in order to grab those, and on the z-axis I will make this a little bit larger. You see the numeric input in the top left corner. In this case this is 0.28. You can type in 0.3 if you want specific values within Blender. Now I will also slightly scale this on the y-axis, so I will press S to enable the scaling tool, Y for the axis, and I will slightly move this. We see that this will be around 0.75, so I'm going to type in that value. You can also change the last parameter within Blender. You're going to see it over here on the bottom. You can click on that. In this case this was a resize. You can also press F9, and F9 will give you the same options directly within the mouse, and you can just change them over here. Okay, so let's say that this will be the base shape of the chair, and now we need to subdivide this. So I'm going to press Ctrl 2, but as we can see, since I'm still within edit mode, it will not apply this. So I'm going to press Tab to leave that. Now I'm going to press Ctrl 2. This will give me the following subdivision. And the subdivision has been added as a modifier over here. We see it, subdivision. If you want to add this manually, because this is a level 2, if I'm going to press Ctrl 4, this will add a level viewport subdivision of 4, which will give us a finer mesh over here. As we can see, each of those quad. If you want, you can also add them manually by clicking on Add a Modifier with the cube selected, search. I'm going to type in sub from subdivision, generate subdivision, and by default this will be level 1. We can increase it to level 2. Now in order to give this chair some wall thickness, we're going to use another modifier. This will be solidify. So search for generate, solidify, and we can specify the thickness over here. As you can see, it will go like this. If I'm going to zoom on the top and rotate using the middle mouse scroll wheel, we're going to see it like this. We can also enable over here even thickness, so this will slightly change that location. If you want to add a numeric value, you can just type in 0.15, and this will be the value in that case. Now we need to apply these modifiers, but the operation of applying this will do various shapes. So for example, if I will apply the solidify first, we're going to see that now on the resulting mesh, Blender will add a subdivision Therefore, we're going to have the following curvature over here. We see the profile of the chair, of the model, is a lot thinner than before. So if I'm going to press Ctrl Z to go back one step, and if I will initially apply the subdivision, the mesh will remain like this. And now if I'm going to apply the solidify, the wall will remain again like this. So keep in mind that when you apply subdivision, that will just round up everything. So this is why it's important to pay attention to that operation sequence. Now, if I would subdivide this once again by pressing Ctrl 2, we're going to see how this will be rounded over here. If you want to keep some of those sharp edges, we can press Tab. This will take me to edit mode. And we're going to do a loop cut over here. You're going to find it over here, loop cut. You can press Ctrl R, this will be the hotkey. And when I'm trying to apply the loop cut, it's important to go over here, as you can see, within this distance. So within the width of the chair profile, either over here, or again over here. So keep that in mind. If you're going to click once, afterwards you can slide that output edge. So either I can put it over here or over here on the other side. And if I will add this within Blender, so I can add two of those, then the mesh, when I'm going to apply another subdivision, will no longer be that influenced. So if I'm going to press Ctrl 2, you're going to see how that roundness will no longer be so strong. So it will go all the way to the following adjacent edge over here, and the curvature will stop over there. Okay, so this is why it's important to always add loop cuts if you are working with subdivision surfaces. Now we're going to use a tool that is within sculpting, which is named cloth filter, and we can also specify that some areas will not be influenced. So let's take a look at the following. I'm going to do a multiple selection, and this will require the use of Ctrl and Shift. So for example, with edge selection, I'm going to select this edge, and if I'm going to hold down Ctrl and select the one on the other side, Blender will give me the following loop over here. Now, if I want to add something and still maintain this selection, I will need to use Shift. So I'm going to hold down Shift, I will select this one, and now again I need to hold down Ctrl in order to select the loop all the way to the next one. So this is why it's important to get used with Blender, especially for selection, because you need to swap between Shift and Ctrl. Now, if I'm going to hold down Shift and select that one, hold down Ctrl that one, and let's do one more loop over here. Let's say that this will be the selection. And over here, I'm going to do a bevel, and the resulting surface will not be influenced by the cloth filter. So to add a bevel, I'm going to press Ctrl B, and this will start the bevel. And now if I'm going to move the mouse a little bit upwards, this will be the output. If you want to add additional geometry to this bevel, so additional lines, let's say that the shape will be like this. So in this case, we see 0.0702. I'm just going to round this up to 0.07. I'm going to hit enter, and now I will go within that last operation, which will be on the bottom. So this will be the bevel, and we can change various parameters. So for example, the number of segments, in this case I will go with 3. We can also change over here the profile. So we're going to see patch or sharp or arc over here. We can also change this on the fly, so for the numeric value, but I'm just going to leave this to 0.07 in this case. We can also change the shape over here. As we can see, this will be from 0 to 1. Now, this will be the selection, and we can jump within sculpting in order to give the shape of this chair. So I'm going to jump within sculpting, workbench at the top. I didn't deselect because this is important. I still had that selection, and within sculpting, if I will go to facets and I want to enable the facets from the edit mode, you're going to see that those will remain like that. So those will not be influenced by this cloth filter. So I'm going to select on the cloth filter. For the type, I'm going to go with inflate. And now we can make the brush larger or smaller by using the brackets. And let's take a look over here. We can also increase the strength, but I'm gonna hold down the left click, and starting somewhere over here in the middle, I'm gonna slowly drag the mouse, and we're gonna see how this chair will inflate. Now, while I'm doing this, this will remain quite low poly, so it would be wise to go back over here within the sculpting environment and apply another subdivision. So I can just press Ctrl 2 or Ctrl 3. Ctrl 3 will give us even more details, since this will be a level 4 viewport. If I'm going to enable over here the statistics, we're going to see the total number of faces over here. So almost 50k in this case. And we see without that, it only had 758. So with the subdivision level 3 applied, now where I'm going to go with is sculpting. And I'm going to do the same cloth inflate, just like previously. You're going to see how many details this chair will have. So let's slowly inflate this. And we're going to see that we can give it the following profile over here. When you're satisfied with the result, we can go and have this texture. So to do that, I'm going to go back over here within layout. And you see that all those areas that had been beveled has still remained over here. So we see one, that edge, the other one, and over here as well. Now, we're going to make use of BlenderKit to finish this up. So I'm going to go over here on Find Material. I'm going to type in leather. You can also enable it over here if it's not appearing. So this will refresh BlenderKit asset bar. And let's take a look at various leather. So leather dark brown. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to drag and drop it to the shape over here. And now I will enable the viewport shading. And we're going to see how the chair will look with that texture. If you want to change it, you can just drag and drop a different texture, and again that will be updated. This is why I highly encourage you to use BlenderKit. Okay, and now for the following step, we're going to add the character. I'm going to go over here on the first one, which will be Find Models. I'm going to type in sitting because we want a sitting character. You're going to see a lot of models that are high detail photogrammetry models over here, as we can see, but those will be only within BlenderKit Pro version. That will require a monthly payment. But we can use this one. It doesn't have any lock, so this will be available within the default BlenderKit, or we can use this one or this one. So I'm just gonna make use of this. I'm gonna drag and drop this, and we can put it within the scene. If you're gonna move the mouse wheel, you can also set the orientation of this. So we see in this case, the model was oriented like this. So I'm gonna select it, and I wanna take this to the origin. So I'm gonna press 7, press G, and I will move the character over here. I'm gonna hide that asset bar, and I will also rotate this. So press R, Z, I'm gonna rotate this 90 degrees. And now I'm going to select the chair, press S to scale it, and I will just scale it and bring it within position over here. So we see over here it's currently overlapping the section over here where the knees of the character are. So I'm just going to slightly put the chair somewhere over here. Let's say that regarding the size of the chair, this will do fine. Keep in mind that this model is at scale. The default cube had 2 meters, and this is why it's important to use characters like this so you can scale your models. And now let's also add that leg of the chair. So press Shift A to add additional geometry. I'm gonna go for a cylinder. I'm gonna press S to scale this down. You can also minimize that, because since I maximize it, it will remain like that. I'm gonna scale it even more, and now with the grabbing tool I'm gonna move it over here. Now we need to further divide the geometry of this cylinder, so I'm gonna press Tab, Ctrl R, I'm gonna do a loop cut over here. Afterwards I will select the bottom face, and I can extrude this by pressing E. It will go on the Z-axis. If I'm going to press the Z-axis, it will allow you to change that, but in this case, we should keep it centered. And now I can just select with X-ray all the faces over here on the bottom, and I can have those, let's say, scaled by pressing S, and we're going to see how the profile will change. If you want to do another loop selection over here, you can add that. You can disable the X-ray. If you're going to hold down Alt and click, it will select everything within the loop. And again, we can change the profile. So let's say that maybe we want the following profile for the chair. And now for the bottom section, I will select this. I will also enable X-ray to get everything. And I'm going to take this all the way to the ground floor over here. And now, since this is quite large, I'm just going to slightly move it. And over here as well, we can just select that by holding down Alt and click. We can also grab it on the Z-axis, and we have the following profile for the chair. If I'm going to press Tab, that will leave that edit mode. We can shade this smooth. We can also subdivide it by pressing Ctrl 2, and we're going to see how that will subdivide. But since I didn't add any additional loops, it will look like this. So we can just press Ctrl R. I'm going to add another loop somewhere over here, one over here on the top. And now if I'm going to press Ctrl 2 and subdivide it, you're going to see that over here it will no longer be that affected by the subdivision. We can also change this to simple, and you can see a preview of the mesh with this one, with Catmull Clark. It will have the following mesh over here. So for the bottom face will be like that. But with simple, it will just keep it like this. So in this case, it will be better. We can also change the texture. So let me just type over here, for example, metal, enable that. And let's say that we want to add the following metal texture to the chair. Okay, now let's do the animation part. This will be the last one. I'm just gonna make this a little bit larger. Select the chair, which will be this one. And we're going to enable the auto keying. So I'm going to click over here once. Afterwards, bring your mouse within the viewport, and we need to specify the keyframe that will be for rotation. So I'm going to press R so that Blender knows it will add for rotation. I'm going to press Enter, and we see the initial rotation added over here. So that is the current position. I'm going to go to 150, so this will be 5 seconds at a frame rate of 30. And over here I can do the rotation, so I can press R again, Z for rotation. I can specify the direction, and I'm going to type in 360 using the keyboard. I'm going to hit Enter, and we have that secondary keyframe added. I can disable the auto keying. I can go with the animation back over here, and if I will press this, that will start the rotation, so the animation of the chair. And what to do now is link the character to that. So I'm going to select the character, hold down Shift, select the chair, press Ctrl P, and we're going to set parent to object keep transform. And now if again we're going to see how that character will rotate, and it will take 5 seconds for that to go to a full 360. If you want to further change the animation, you can either use auto key and add a different animation, or you can just resize the time duration for this. So for example, if I want this animation to be done within a second, I'm going to go for over here for 30. And now if I will press take 1 second in order to have that animation. If I'm going to move it over here all the way to the back, now we're going to see how Blender will do the, and within that time frame, the chair will be rotating 360 degrees. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this kind of content. I will position a similar video on the left side. You will also find the subscribe button to the right. So I hope you enjoy it. Let me know in the comment section if you managed to create this chair. So that's it. Thanks for watching.